Uh, Good morning, and I welcome you all to the 13th session of our FDP. And this session is related to micro machining processes. As such, micro machining is a very important domain of application in the manufacturing arena, and we see a lot of activities going on in this area. Some of the tasks we have also tried to attempt at our place. So I will discuss few of the activities that have been carried out at our place. So I believe that that would be of some interest to many of the participants. Now, the first thing that comes up is miniaturization. What is miniaturization? When we talk about the dimensions with the advancement of technology, if we see in last 70 years since the end of the Second World War, there has been drastic improvement in the technology, and we see that the third industrial revolution that began with automation also took the things at a smaller domain. So more and more efforts initiated wherein it was intended to go for smaller dimensions. If your dimensions are smaller, if the component becomes smaller, if the assembly becomes smaller, if the machine becomes smaller, and eventually if the product becomes smaller, then you use lesser amount of energy, you use lesser amount of time, and you create better usability of the products. So with that, the concept of miniaturization came. Now, when we talk about miniaturization, it means we need to go for fabrication at a very smaller scale. So micro fabrication or micro machining term came into picture. So initially when we talk about micro fabrication, it can be machining also, and to some extent it can be addition also. So in microfabrication, our intention is to fabricate structures, parts, and products that are smaller than 1 mm. So when we talk about microfabrication, we intend to make something which is of smaller size, say up to from 1 micron to say 1,000 micron. That is the range where you work on. That would be microfabrication. But when we talk about machining, there is a small difference with that. So micro machining refers with to have a machining process in which the material that is removed is in microscopic range. The material that we remove is in very small quantity, in a very small amount of size, that it will help us to achieve higher geometrical accuracy. So our intention is to improve the geometrical accuracy. So rather than going for a tolerance of say 50 microns, I want to go for a tolerance of 5 microns. But if I'm trying to make something of 5 mm, and then if I expect 5 microns, that is a difficult task. But with 5 mm, if I try to achieve a tolerance limit of 50 microns, that is doable. So if you want to go for more and more tighter and tighter accuracy and tolerances, you need to work at smaller dimensions. Generally, it is believed that the ability to obtain the tolerance level is has to be at the micro domain has to be 1/10. So if you are trying to produce a dimension of 100 microns, then you can assume to have tolerance of maximum 10 microns. Now, if you have a tolerance of 50 microns, when you are making something at 100 microns, that is of no significance. So, when you are trying to produce a part, a feature, a product in micro scale, that usually is termed as micro fabrication. But when we talk about micro machining, our intention is to create or produce a feature, a dimension that is in the micro domain. So here we combine micro as a size component and machining as an activity. So wherein when we club them together, we try to achieve removal of material at the micro level. So what we can have is, we can have macro components. The components can be 5 mm, 10 mm, 15 mm, 50 mm, whatever. The components can be macro components. But in that case, the material that is removed is usually at the micro or maybe at the nano level. Okay. Similarly, if you produce some components in micro domain, then and you are able to remove the material at the micro level, that is also a term under the micro machining. But the thing is, how we define is, our intention is to have material removal in the micro domain, and we do not have any constraint on the size of the component. So we do not want to put up any constraint on the size. You can have a part which is say 100 mm in size, but on that 100 mm size, if you can create a slot which is 50 micron wide and 100 micron deep, then that slot is a micro machining activity. However, often we have a trouble in understanding this. We have often a wrong notion that when you are trying to machine highly miniature components with miniature features, then and then it can be termed as micro machining. That is not correct. So when I talk about micro machining, my intention is to create very miniature features, very tiny features on the part, which may or may not be in the micro size. Now, when we classify micro machining, there are different ways of classifying the micro machining or micro fabrication activities. In case of micro fabrication, one of the way is material deposition and the other way is material removal. And when we talk about micro machining, we focus more on this aspect. But as far as micro fabrication is concerned, we have various deposition also, like electro deposition, like chemical vapor deposition, like physical vapor deposition, like rapid prototyping, that is 3D printing, like LIGA, even electrochemical spark deposition. So there are different ways in which micro fabrication through material deposition can also be carried out. When we talk about micro machining, our understanding gets into two domains. One is the traditional material removal, and the other is the advanced material removal. Now, if I take a simple conventional lathe machine, on that lathe machine, if I am carrying out turning process, when I provide depth of cut, I can provide depth of cut up to 0.5 mm. So when I provide a depth of cut of 0.5 mm, I mean to say that I am removing the material of the size of 500 microns. So as per the definition in microfabrication, that can be termed as micro machining because I am removing the material. But am I creating a feature in the micro domain? No, I'm just removing the material. The part remains as it is. Now, suppose if I create steps, I carry out step turning, and on a job of say 50 mm diameter, if I am creating steps of 50 micron size, then that can be termed as micro turning. So even on lathe machine with good quality of combination of machining characteristics and with highly good quality of cutting tool, it is possible to go for some sort of micro turning. Theoretically, yes, that is possible because the depth of cut that you can set usually on a conventional machine is 0.5 mm. But more or less, when we talk about micro machining, we focus more on advanced material removal processes, which includes mechanical micro machining, which includes beam energy or the thermal based micro machining, and the chemical energy based micro machining. So in case of mechanical based micro machining, you can have micro USM, micro AJM, micro abrasive water jet or water jet process. In case of beam energy based micro machining, you can have EBM, laser beam machining, EDM, ion beam machining, plasma beam machining. And in chemical, you can have photochemical machining or electrochemical machining. These processes are included. So there is an aspect of creating micro turning, micro milling process. There is a scope of creating these processes and the energy based processes. Even in chemical based processes, etching is one of the process which is widely used, especially for electronics applications. So this is one way of classifying the micro feature generations. The another way, which is termed as a micro manufacturing process, and often this is termed from the interest of MEMS, from the interest of electronics background. So there the processes are classified either as MEMS lithography based or non-MEMS, non-lithography based. So all the processes which discussed earlier fall into this category. You can have micro mechanical cutting as non-MEMS activity, where you can have micro turning, micro drilling, micro milling, all form of micro machining. Then there can be some sort of finishing like micro grinding also. Other processes include laser based processes, thermal based processes, and to some extent some fabrications into the forming, micro forming domain also are being classified as non-MEMS based micro manufacturing techniques. In case of MEMS based, the most widely used is the photolithography process. So I'll initiate slightly with this photolithography and then move on to the processes which I want to discuss into detail. When we talk about photolithography, there what we do is we can have the additive deposition also, and we also have subtractive etching. So we deposit some material first and then we remove some material and eventually we get the product. There are different ways of doing it. One of the most widely way is this one which is shown in the figure. So suppose there is a desired material, some form of rubber, some form of plastic is desired to be features to be generated from that part. So that is being laid, that is deposited on this thin film. So this part is laid, and now this part is coated with a photoresist. There is a mask. If I see this top view, it may be something like this. Suppose if it is a round part, this one, and then what you do is you deposit some sort of cover over it this way. So this is the cover. This is the cover. So if I take a cross section over here, I see this one. This is what I see over here. This is what is visible to us. Now what we do is, after coating this or with a photoresist, we use this as a mask and pass some sort of lesser energy, or maybe lesser based energy, or maybe some UV light, and we burn the material. So what happens is, nothing happens to this part, but the part over here, this part is burnt. Okay, so now it is etched, it is removed. First we deposited, and now we are removing this. So when I remove this part, and then I remove this photoresist, this one is removed. So eventually you get the part that you wanted to have. So this is what we wanted to have. We wanted to generate a boundary with a pillar inside. So this is what you wanted, and that you have created. So in case of photolithography, this entire process can be finished in the matter of seconds. But the process of depositing these thin films of the desired material and then putting photoresist over it with the utmost accuracy, and then passing the light, that arrangement often takes some time, but otherwise the process is very fast and very accurate. So this is how the process is being done, where you use some sort of mask and some sort of light to carry out the activity. This is one such video of a part. I think yes. So here what you are doing is, you have laid and you are just scanning it in a way that you are able to remove the part. So one after the other, each layer, more and more amount of material is removed, and a feature is generated. Another process where lithography is used is a Liga process. Here there are three aspects. There are three different activities being simultaneously done. The lithography is done, electroplating is done, as well as plastic molding is done. So it is possible that this process is highly accurate. It is possible to go for very high aspect ratio. It is possible to go for very small structures in sub-micron range, and you can get very good quality of smooth finished walls. If you measure the roughness of those walls, you get it somewhere close to 0.5 microns, sorry, 0.05 microns, 15 nanometers. So that is the level of accuracy that you may get. But again, this process is a costly affair. What happens into it is you need to select a base material. Say for example, PMMA material is selected as a base material. So that is being created. Now it would be somewhat similar to the way we create a pattern and a mold. So this would be used as a mold. I use a photoresist, a mask, and then I pass the X-ray radiation. So whatever feature you want to generate, that feature is present over here. And because of this X-ray radiations, you see that you create a specific cavity over here, and this cavity is opened up. Now here you use certain electroplating process and you fill this cavity with the help of some desired material. It can be metal particles, it can be through metal deposition also. So that metal is deposited over here. You initially etched and created a mold, and then you deposited metal into it. Later on you carried out the same process and you burned this entire mold. So this entire mold is burned. So eventually you get the separate metallic component. So this is how the Liga process takes place, and you get a metallic component at the end of the process. Now this is the same process being shown in a different manner. You have a mask membrane and you have some sort of absorbers. So through the absorbers, the X-ray radiation is absorbed, and that is passed through the base material, and in that resist it is being protected. So here what you did was you put up a mask, and on the mask you put up an absorber structure. So there the radiation is absorbed by this absorber structure, this pink color structure, and rest of the material is burned. So what happens is, based on that, you get a structure of the base material. So instead of creating a cavity, you have created a full 3D design over it. Now this design is filled with the metal. Okay, so here you fill this with some sort of metal. You connect it with electroplating process. They call it electroforming, but you connect it, and so because it acts and it attracts, so this metal is deposited around, and at later stage this resist structure is burnt and removed. So you get a different sort of mold cavity. Now large size of such molds can be created, which otherwise may not be possible by usual casting process. 3D printing is a different scenario. Even today it is trying to take over even the Liga and photolithography activities, but this is being one of the widely used activity as on date in the open market. So then this is being done, and you fill it with some plastic material, and eventually you get the components that you decide to have. So this is how the process is carried out. Now, for today's discussion, I wish to focus on these three processes more often, because there is some activity going on at our place wherein we work on micro turning, micro milling, and micro EDM process. So this is what I wish to discuss with all of you today in slightly detailed condition. Now, when we talk about micro turning, the first thing that comes to our mind is, as per our definition, the part can be large, and on that large machine or on large component, we may create micro features. But yes, there are possibilities of, there are problems associated with it, which I will discuss in the coming slides. To overcome those problems, people attempted to create smaller size of machines. The micro turning setup that we use is not that small as you see in this image, but it is possible for you to create a micro turning machine as small as the one which can be held in your hands. So that possibility is also there, and often People have demonstrated working over it. However, it has not worked to that extent and it has not been that successful. However, the tabletop setups are very successful in carrying out the micro turning process. Even this is another setup. You can have a micro factory with micro turn lathe machines, and then you can fit them in your suitcase and you can carry anywhere you want. And just you can set up and you can do the task and return back home. So the micro workshop or the micro factory can also be set up with proper sensing devices, which can be effective to control the dimension and the process. So in micro turning, our interest is to create some features which are in the domain of say 1, 10, 100 microns. So there we will need to go for smaller tools. So you can see over here the size of this tool, the face you can see, the rack surface you can see. This is almost equal to 10 microns. So that is the small size of a tool that can be generated. So assuming that this would be 100 microns, then it is as good as the size of a human hair, which is around 90 to 100 micron in diameter. So just assume the size of the tool that has been attempted. This type of tool are used generally for diamond turning process, where the depth of cut are in the nano features and mirror finished surface are required to be generated. However, there are very few number of such machines, maybe one or maybe two only in India, and those can be counted in numbers if you count it universally. Now there is an interesting task reported by Professor Rahman and his team, and this was the inspiration after which we thought of working into that area. Of course, not to that level of significant work that has been done, but we have initiated doing to some extent. You can see the micro pin that is generated. This is the micro pin which is visible in this image, and you can just compare it with the lead of the clutch pencil that we use, which is of 0.5 mm diameter. So the maximum diameter that you can record over here is for this surface, which is 477 microns. So this entire thing, you can see the tapers are generated, you can see the steps are generated. So all form of turning process is being attempted into this. You need to have a road first. So on that road you need to carry out this process. Now the problem that you face over here, because of which attempt on larger machine to create micro feature does not work effectively. Those problems can be few. One of them is the deflection that occurs into this micro shaft that you initially generate. So when you try to create this, it's when you are trying to create this shaft of a small diameter, say if this is 500 microns. Suppose if this diameter is 0.5 mm, 500 microns, then getting this 5 microns, this must be I'm pretty sure it must be larger, maybe around 10 to 15 mm. So in that case, generating this becomes a task, especially when you want to have a longer length. So while doing that and then machining on this part, say taper that is generated, then the slot that are being generated, larger size of grooves that are being generated. In such a scenario, if you have a larger size of cutting tool, it is not possible. So theoretically, even though it is possible to generate micro features with a conventional machine, but practically the problem that we encounter is the deflection of this micro shaft, which would eventually lead into the breakage of it. So often this does not work. Out of maybe around 300 plus experiments that we might have tried, we could get luckily we could get some 20-25 odd conditions, at least 10%, where this shaft, we could generate the shaft. Otherwise it was breaking up even with the micro machining setup. So in a way, this deflection is a very big issue. So the control of the cutting force that is applied with the help of the with the help of the single point cutting tool is a very tricky task, and that is why it is preferred to go for smaller tools. So when you want to accommodate smaller tools, you need to reduce the size of the machine itself, and hence these micro machining setups have become tabletop setups. Still, you do not have the commercial applications of those which you can make of the size of your palm. This is the setup that we have used for various activities. This setup is a Hyper 15 machine, and it is possible. It has its own G and M code programming language, and it accepts the program through that language. Though you can create that program in Excel or in Word, and you can import it to export it to this software, but the compatibility is only with the given software. Here it is possible to work on micro turning, micro milling, micro EDM, and micro electro discharge grinding. We have tried to attempt almost all of this process to some extent. It is also possible to slightly modify the setup and have micro ECM also, but then you will need to work on the brine solution, and that can lead to contamination and corrosion, and that is why we have avoided going for that process. Now, when we attempted to go for micro turning, here the thing is, if you can see here is the spindle, and this spindle rotates, and then it means that whatever circular object that you want to have, it can be attached to this chuck. So here you have a structure where you can attach something. So if you want to go for EDM, this would serve as a tool. So this becomes a tool holder. If you want to go for milling, this acts as a tool holder, and you can put up an end mill cutter. If you want to go for turning, this will become a chuck for you. You attach the workpiece over here, and tool is attached the way in which you attach the workpiece. So that would be a small difference that comes into feature over here. Instead of a tool, you have instead of conventional lathe machines, in this particular setup, you have the workpiece rotating on a vertical axis. You also need to take care of the tool holder movement and the workpiece movement with the help of proper CNC machining. We used a PCD based micro tool, and brass was used to fabricate, create the micro shafts. The length of the workpiece that we wanted to have, that we used, was 4 centimeter, a brass of 4 centimeter length, and the diameter was maintained at 4 mm. We carried out proper grinding of these edges, and we also carried out proper centering of this part when it was put up on a vertical axis. And what we tried to do was we tried to reduce this diameter from 4 mm. We tried to reduce it to 1.5 mm. Okay, so we tried to reduce this to 1.5 mm, and with initially up to 1.5 mm, then and later we went to up to 0.5 mm also. So later we went also up to 0.5 mm. So here in all this case, we took the depth of cut of 0.1 mm, which is 100 microns, and the machining length that we took was say up to 5 mm. So eventually this is what we tried to do. This is what we tried to carry out. Initially we tried to reach 1.5 mm, and all those tools where 1.5 mm was achieved, we further used it as a raw material for generating 0.5 mm diameter shaft. So first we tried to create a basic raw workpiece material with 1.5 mm diameter, on which we worked to go up to 0.5 mm diameter. This is a clip of that activity. This is 1.5 mm diameter tool, and this is one of the depth of cut of 0.1 mm. You can see this is the PCD tool. The workpiece is rotating. You can see the micro size of chips being framed. We also studied the chips. The chip size ranges from 20 microns to around 100 microns in size. But this is one such cut that is being initiated, and eventually up to 5 mm we carried out this. So this entire length that you see over here, this length is from here to here. That length is 0.5 mm. Sorry, 5 mm. And on that 5 mm, we took 0.1 mm of depth of cut and we started machining. And eventually, after every machining, so you can assume that each machining will take, say, in 10 passes, you will reduce 1 mm. So from 1.5, we went to 0.5. So we had to take a certain large number of cuts. Now we tried and we produced, effectively we could produce it. One such case I want to specifically highlight. Here what happened was, at some point of position we could measure the diameter of exactly 0.5 mm as per our requirement. 500 microns was possible. However, what we found is, here there is a taper. Okay, so here the dimension increases. It is something like this. So the main reason behind this is because it is a cantilever type of structure. So for a particular combination of speed and fib and depth of cut, probably because of no support at the end, maybe deflection occurred more over there, and because of that the tool at its position, it did not allow. So here, if this is the tool, and if this is the, sorry, if this is the workpiece, and if this is how the tool is placed, then because of the deflection, it did not result into suitable sort of machining. However, in most of the cases under similar situation, this micro shaft breaks. But in one particular case, somehow it did not break, and we observed that a sort of reverse taper occurs. So even though the tool might be coming into contact with the workpiece, it may not be resulting into proper machining. And so that may be the reason. Other reason that we thought of was, the real machining started after moving across some distance, because then the deflection that occurs at the end is larger than what occurs towards the base. So when this deflection slightly reduced, then actual machining started, and because of that, probably we could get a reverse taper over this. So this is one interesting work that we have carried out. Another task that we tried to carry out is related to micro milling. Micro milling represents the downscaling of regular conventional milling process itself, wherein you use end mill cutters just as you used in milling process. But here the diameter of these end mill cutters are in the sub millimeter range. They are too small. They are into the lesser than 1 mm diameter. There is an interesting work carried out by a group under Dr. Bamberg at University of Utah, where they have tried to produce a 4-fluted peripheral end milling cutter, something like this. This is what they tried to produce, an end mill cutter of this shape, a peripheral end mill cutter. This is what we have been using. What they did was, initially they created a hexagonal structure. This is what they got. On this hexagon, they used some sort of machining at some peculiar angle. Say for example, this was machined in a way that this much portion is removed. This portion is removed. So when you remove this, eventually here you generate a cutting edge. Then again you remove some material from here. So this is how it worked. So it may not be in the exact straight line which I am showing, but it was slightly curved. So instead of this, they made it like this. Then on the other edge, they again turned it and created an edge. So that sort of etching is carried out using ion beam process, and at subatomic level you could create a very small size of feature on an end mill cutter. However, this is not widely accepted, and because of the cost issues, such type of micro featured end mill cutters are not easily available in market. But you can see if you compare a conventional end mill cutter and if you compare it with a micro end mill cutter, the dimension is quite clear from the image itself that micro domain, say 0.5 mm diameter, that would be quite smaller in size. What we tried to do was we tried to create a micro 3D cavity. So a 3D cavity we tried to create with the help of the micro milling aspects, and we used our desktop CNC machine that we had. So on that machine we carried out the same task. We varied the speed between 1000 to 2000 rpm, and we varied the feed from 10 to 50 mm per minute. We maintained uniform depth of cut that was 25 microns. So in each cut, we tried to maintain 25 microns as our depth of cut. We used aluminum as our workpiece material. We created a specific size of cubic part. We machined it well on all the 6 sides, and then we carried out buffing also so that we could get the best possible dimensional and feature accuracy. We used micro end mill tool where the tip diameter was 1 mm. So we did not, at that point of time, we did not have 0.5 mm tool. So we used the 1 mm tool to generate the micro feature in the domain of starting from 25 microns to slightly larger size. This was a tungsten carbide tool material which was coated with a certain titanium, helium, chromium based coating material. The shank diameter was as usual 3 mm. Now what we did was we created steps over it. These are the features that we created. So on this was the workpiece, and on this workpiece, on this edge, you can see, maybe possible, if possible, you can see over here. This is the edge that we created over here. Okay. So first we removed this entire plane and created one step. Then we removed this much square surface. We created another step. Then we removed this smaller patch. We created another step. And finally we created the smallest part. So that gave rise to this step. So this is the real workpiece material that is visible. You can see the steps that we have created. We maintained the width of each step as 1 mm, and subsequently from 6 mm this size reduced to 3 mm. This is what we did. And the total height of this feature was 1 mm. So total height that we created, this step, if I see this step, the height of this step is 1 mm. And each step that we generated is 250 microns. So though we used a regular desktop tabletop CNC milling machine, though we used 1 mm diameter cutting tool, we tried to produce features in the micro domain. And then we observed it under a vision measuring system to check the adequacy, to check the dimensional accuracy, and then check the quality of the surface that is generated with the help of that setup. You can see this activity being carried out. Here you can see that this is our XL mill, the MTAB CNC milling machine. And though the quality is poor because at that point of time we did not have proper even mobile to capture it. So, and there is a glass cover in between, and that, because of which the recording is slightly getting poor. But you can observe that this step is being generated right now. The tool is passing over one of the side, and then it moves along the other side now. So that is how it is trying to. So this is probably the edge of the first part. It is returning back, and one such entire layer is being removed. So now this is the second pass. Second pass is initiated. This was not that clear, But this probably from here it might be slightly clear. You can see that these steps are being generated. What we did was we tried to measure its dimension accuracy and form accuracy, and then we tried to measure the surface roughness on it. Because the end mill cutter that is used is 1 mm in diameter, so you do not have an option to reduce this width of this path. So this is remaining 1 mm. This is the entry side. So the tool started moving from here and it eventually went this way. Then here, this was one thing that was cut. Then we cut this over here. This is how it goes. So these are different points where the roughness was measured. So initially roughness was measured at this location. Then it was measured at this location. Then over here. Then over here. And this is how it went through all the particular positions of these steps. What we found? One important finding that was that if we are able to lubricate during the process, constantly supply drops of lubrication, somehow kerosene did not work, somehow regular dielectric fluid did not work, somehow the oil that we usually use for lubrication did not work. And I don't know the reason still, but diesel worked well. So drops of diesel were put up over there, because of which the finish that was obtained was in the range of sub-micron level. Without lubrication, you got the roughness value of almost 0.3 microns, and with lubrication it reduced to half, 0.15 microns. Similarly, for the higher feed, we got a roughness of 0.3 microns, which is almost similar to what we get. But here at higher feed, we got a roughness of 0.2. So there is probably a reduction of 1/3 of the roughness value. So that is one good observation that we saw. And the other observation was that the roughness was greater at the entry. So RA1 was more than RA2 for all experiments. So that is observed, and that may be reason because the chips would accumulate at the tool tip and would also resist the actual machining being carried out. So we observed, sometimes we observed that the tiny particles, they would adhere to it. So there was a built-up edge formation also to a larger extent, and the aluminum material would stick to the tool, and then you will have to clean it. And in the meantime, it might get slightly blunt and might result into the poor quality of machining at a later stage. When the feed value was maximum, we found that feed has the maximum effect when the feed was at the highest level. In this three particular case of reading number 1, 9, and 12, the feed value was at 50 mm per minute, which was the highest selected value. So whatever be the spindle speed, when the feed increased, we observed that roughness increased. So feed is found to be a influential factor on roughness value at micro, sub-micro level instead of the spindle speed value. The third aspect of our work is related to micro EDM. In case of micro EDM, what you do is you melt the material and you vaporize the material for the material removal. And this happens, the melting and the vaporization happens in a fraction of a second, and that too happens thousands of times. So the feature quality is quite better than what turning or milling would give you, and the process may result into the reduction in the tooling cost because there is no contact between tool and workpiece. However, there are some difference if you compare EDM process and micro EDM process. There are few differences into it. The first one is related to the circuitry that it has. In EDM nowadays, you don't have the capacitor circuit. Nowadays, you have that is fully enabled with electronics, and so the control of the timings on and off time is done through the electronic pulses, And that is why now those on and off time are known as pulse on time and pulse off time, because on EDM you do not control them with the help of the charging and discharging of capacitors. However, in micro EDM, still you need to use the capacitor circuit only. It is not possible to control it at nanosecond level with the help of those pulses, and hence micro capacitor circuits are being used, which have a capacity of very small. We'll go through that values. So still micro EDM machine, the first EDM machine that came up 70-80 years back was a capacitor circuit based machine. But now we don't use capacitor based machines. We have improved its efficiency to a larger extent. But when we talk about micro EDM, still we use the capacitor circuit into it, and hence the capacitance is one of the very important parameters as far as micro EDM is concerned. The other aspect is inter-electrode gap, the gap between tool and the workpiece. So if this is the workpiece that you have and if this is the tool that you are using, the minimum gap that you need to place between the tool and workpiece, or in that case when the cavity has already been generated, at that time this distance as well as this distance, that distance is quite smaller as compared to what you have in case of EDM. Usually in EDM it is in the range of 100 microns, say 50 microns, whereas in case of this it is somewhere around 2 microns. And the another important difference is related to the amount of energy that is being used per spark. So the discharge energy per pulse per spark is very less. It is almost 1,000 times less than what you have in case of EDM. So it is possible to generate even smaller features than what you generate in regular EDM process. So microfabrication with micro EDM is a very fantastic task. Only problem is it is very slow process, and it is slower than what the regular EDM process is. So if you carry out a task on an EDM process to remove certain amount of material, or say to reduce a feature by 1/10 of its size, whatever be the feature, the time that you require on an EDM is 1/10 of what you require on a micro EDM. So those simple tasks which I am going to show you, it also would take around 30 to 40 hours of machining. So that way it is not a suitable process for producing the parts in large quantity. This is one such setup of micro EDM which is being commercially available from Micro Tools, a Singapore based company, and basically it is devised by Dr. Rahman. One such machine you might have, if you have visited IIT Bombay or IIT Kanpur, you would have seen this machine at those places. There are various applications in micro EDM domain. You can fabricate micro holes, you can create micro pins, say micro electrodes for micro EDM, which would be used as micro tools. You can generate micro slits and grooves. Okay, a semi-cylindrical groove of 10.5 plus or minus 1 micron was produced. Similarly, you observe that in cryogenic applications, you need to generate large surface area. So fin structures are generated. So these fins that you generate on a copper tube, here the width of this fin is 10 microns, and the space in between is around 50 microns. So generating that is also an interesting task. Similarly, 3D patterns and 3D objects can also be generated with the help of micro EDM machine. There are different variants of micro EDM. The regular one is the micro die sinking process. You can also carry out micro wire EDM. You can carry out micro electro discharge drilling process. You can create electro discharge grinding or wire electro discharge grinding process. You can carry out electro discharge milling, and to some extent you can also work on reverse micro EDM, wherein instead of generating cavities, you generate features, you generate 3D features. So in a way that leads to a process like somewhat like the 3D printing process. Now we initiated some work on micro EDM where we wanted to carry out drilling process initially. So what we did was we used aluminum thin sheets having thickness of 0.28 mm, 0.38 mm and 0.53 mm and finally 0.71 mm. So we took all this thickness were in the in the micro domain range. So aluminum sheets were used and these were cut into the pieces of 25 by 25 one by one each. Those sheets were cut from a larger sheet. This was required to ensure that these pieces can be later on made properly flat so that there is no discrepancy in the features that we generate. We used tungsten rods as our tool material. Now we have the supplier of the machine has provided tungsten rods of 0.3 mm diameter. This diameter is 0.3 mm, 300 microns, but the length is 12 inches. Okay. Now what we might think is because this is 0.3 mm, we can easily break this. So if you try to break this, something happens. Or you can think that we may use a mechanical hacksaw and cut it. That is also a possibility. Now that was a very tedious task. We wanted to cut electrodes from this with a length of 8 mm. 8 mm length and 0.3 mm diameter. That is what we wanted to do. Now when we started doing it, when we tried to cut it through the scissors, something like a scissor, a mechanical scissor. When we tried to do that, crack initiated and propagated inside. This was cracked, fully cracked. And when we tried to cut it with on a hacksaw blade with the minimum possible cutting condition, then also some pinch effect was visible at the end. So you can see over here it is not perfectly flat and perfect diameter with no discrepancy over there. So there is some pinch effect because of which eventually we could not get the proper shape of the end of this 0.3 mm diameter tungsten rod. Now if it is not perfectly cylindrical in shape, then there is no point in using it as an electrode. So this was a very big task, very big problem. Even the supplier, when we inquired, he said that he also did not know how to take care of it and he also tried to work on it, but somehow it did not work. But then what we did was we thought of using it tungsten as a workpiece and using copper as an electrode, and let us try to cut it by micro EDM. So we fitted a very thin foil, okay, thin foil of copper, we fitted with the axis. With the axis we fitted it and we tried to cut this tungsten rod, okay, with the help of this foil. When we tried to do that, when we used the straight polarity, there was no effect on the tungsten rod. In fact, this was in a way reverse EDM. The tool which was required to cut the workpiece, the width is, this slot is 0.3 mm. Actually it is 0.32 or 33 because of the overcut. But what you observed was, we observed a foil is cut and you observe that a slot is happening over there. When you use reverse polarity to assume that the workpiece itself is the tool and tool itself is the workpiece, even in that case some sort of cutting happened on the foil, but it did not go further because of the change in the polarity. However, it still did not cut the tungsten rod. So it was almost difficult how to do that. This is, I'm trying to show this. This is the foil that we have. And with that foil we are trying to cut. This entire setup is immersed in dielectric fluid. We don't use hydrocarbon oil into it. We use deionized water. So in that deionized water, attempt is being made. Spark being so smaller in size, probably it may not be that easily visible. Now to some extent it might be visible if you can visualize this. So this cutting is going on, and with that eventually we could not cut. So it did not work. So later on what we did was we used wire electrodischarge grinding process. We have a spool of wire. Okay, this is the wire. This yellow color you see, that is a wire. And this is the rod, our tungsten rod. This tungsten rod is fitted into it. And we started pressing it against this wheel, which has the wire electrodischarge machining process going on. Now this is meant for grinding of the surface. So if there is a large surface that has to be ground, then that is brought into contact with this wire, and that wire will clean the surface and eventually grind it. But we used this for not for grinding but for cutting this. How we did that? We just allowed the machine to assume that grinding is going on, and we proceeded with the grinding for a larger depth for the entire pass. So you can see that then it was possible to generate a proper shape without any remarkable burrs over it. And now this can work as a tool. Now it was interesting to notice that if you have, say for example, if you have a rod of this length and here you are cutting something, so this portion is gone, but now here you get a surface which is like this. You will have to cut the same way on the other side, because when you cut this, a new surface is exposed and you want that surface to be utilized. So it was not possible for going for rough cutting or the finished cutting. All cutting had to be finished, so that it effectively gave us the desired size of small size of tungsten rods for micro drilling. Now with such perfectly cut rods, we carried out micro drilling on the aluminum thin foils ranging from say 0.3 to 0.7 mm diameter. And what we observe is under different conditions we observe that there is taper being generated. You can see here is a situation where you have used highest capacitance. In this situation you get the maximum taper. Your top diameter is 0.448 and your bottom diameter is 0.352. Actually the tool diameter is 0.3. So perfect result comes at the end into this particular case only. But in other cases there is huge overcut happening, and because of that we are getting slightly larger diameter. Now there is a scope of working over here. There is a very good scope. What you can do is, can you carry out turning of this tungsten rod and reduce it to say 0.25 or 0.27 or 0.28? How? The way in which you can compensate this overcut. So using 0.3 mm diameter, when you are getting a diameter of say 0.336, this is a case of reverse taper. The top size is smaller and bottom size is larger. So you get a taper like this in that case. So here what our intention is that you can you turn this tungsten rod and convert it into say 0.017 less than the diameter 0.3. So will it help to compensate the overcut? That is an interesting task. However, you need too much of patience to try this out. So eventually still we are not able to do that, but that is eventually something which can be carried out. Another thing that we tried on generation of micro feature is generating micro slots. In case of generation of micro slot, what we tried to do was we thought of whether it is possible to generate this micro slot on our regular EDM machine, and whether it is comparable, the slot that you generate, whether it is comparable with what you generate on a micro EDM setup. So what we tried to do initially was we used the tungsten rod as a tool material on our regular EDM machine. And I think I have that image. This is that machine. On this machine, we fitted the small tool holder which you have on the micro machine, and in that tool holder you have this micro tool. So this you see, this is the tool holder over here, this one. This is the tool holder, and in this tool holder you see this tool, tungsten rod 0.3 mm diameter. And this is fitted in our regular conventional EDM, where the minimum current possible is 0.3 ampere. So we worked at 0.3 ampere and we worked on different aspects. We worked on aluminum 1100 grade workpiece. And we, as I said, this is the tungsten rod is our tool material. What we did was we created split workpiece. Okay, this is a split workpiece. You can see this. There are two pieces. The split line somewhere over here is slightly visible. Here it is visible, but here it is not visible. We finished these two blocks. We created buffing of these two blocks and we attached it firmly so that it would not separate. After doing that, this top surface was again machined and was again finished and buffed so that there is no disparity over it. And we tried to adjust the position of the tool. This is 0. Roughly, theoretically, this is 0.3 mm diameter. We adjusted the tool exactly on the center line. So this is the center of the tool and this is the center line. We tried to do that so that half of the cavity gets generated on one side of the part and half of the cavity generates on the other part. So once you open it up, you will be able to see the open slot where you can have some measurements and observations on the scaling electron microscope also. So this was effectively done on the conventional EDM. Micro feature, micro slot generated on the conventional EDM. What is the observation? Very high amount of tool wear. You can see this. I'll not go into the exact combination of parameters, but we performed 18 such experiments. And in all cases, this 9 cases you can see huge amount of tool wear happening, because now this is the direction. If you see this is the direction. The tool comes from the screen towards me. That is the direction of tool movement. So you can see that the side of these tools, while carrying out the sparks on this aluminum sheet or aluminum part, the sides are being worn out. So this is how the direction of movement is. You would be surprised to see that there are many other cases where instead of the taper being generated, this type of taper, tool wear being done, we observed some deposition of material. You can see this material is getting deposited. So there is a process known as electrodischarge deposition. Without intention, we carried out electrodischarge deposition. The material that is separated, that is worn out, eventually does not go into the bubbling dielectric fluid, but it again settles back on the workpiece itself. And so eventually when this happened, you could see these slots. Initially the slot quality, this first case is a good one. Here you can feel that there is taper. You can see there are tapers over here. Somewhere you see that the size is very much enlarged because of a high amount of, this is a tapered surface, something like this. If I show this as a cross section over here, it will appear like this. So because the tool got worn out while moving over it. So this, it created micro features, but it was not successful. So because of the deposition, the size of the electrode increased. So you can see that here the size of the cavity has also drastically increased. Even to some extent, you can somewhere see the taper also. Here you see and here you see there is a taper also. So there is great disparity of the feature when you try to create this micro slot on a regular EDM. But then what we did was we tried to create the same size of slot on the same size of workpiece using our micro EDM setup. But then the parameters would change. Here capacitance will come into picture, and there would be a scanning speed also. It is interesting to note that in case of regular EDM, the tool does not rotate. But in case of micro EDM, because the tool is held in the spindle, so it will rotate. So you will always have a rotating micro EDM process, unlike the one where you do not have that feature on a regular process. Probably if there was tool rotation possible on the conventional EDM, then that deposition might not have taken place, and the wearing at a particular edge, generating it like a chisel, would not have taken place. So that is one of the limitation of those observations. But here we used, we had constant values of certain parameters, but we tried to observe the variation in capacitance and variation in feed. And when we tried to do that, we tried different parameters which we measured with our vision measuring system. So this is how we, one factor at a time, we fixed the speed and we varied the capacitance. And we found that maximum capacitance was good. So we fixed the maximum value of capacitance and we varied the speed into it. So this is the setup. You can see that the same type of workpiece is held, and you can see that here there is a micro size of tungsten electrode placed into it. Then we carried out the process the same way we carried out. Only difference that you see is that here the tool rotates. So here you have a rotating tool, and it tried to create this slot. Now the depth of the slot, say 1 mm or 2 mm, whatever we try to achieve, the tool would travel this way. Tool will rotate and it will travel on a path. Then here, then it will try to take a small depth, say 0.1 mm, again return back, and then it will take another depth of 0.1 mm and it will return back. Whereas in case of EDM, we had X and Z movement. We had adjusted it along X and fixed Y. So it's not that it will move this way and come down. It is this how it moves. So if the first depth to be achieved, initially the depth required is, say, moving across and then reaching back over here, the tool will travel across this path with the movement in X and Z simultaneously. So probably that also was reason for a larger amount of wear occurring. But then this worked well. Layer by layer we removed the material, and eventually this is the type of the cavity the slots that we got. Slots were reasonably good at higher capacitance as compared to lower capacitance, and we did not observe major effect of the speed. In this case, you can see that most of the features are good enough. So speed did not have that much effect as compared to the capacitance. So capacitance had a tremendous effect on the quality of the slot that were generated. So this is what we have tried to work upon at our place. There is a good scope of working in micro domain. Many small things can be done. Another observation is that micro machines have better capability of creating micro features as compared to the regular machines. There is a possibility of innovative use of generating different type of features. Why can't we create a feature like a circular steps and moving inside, or maybe moving outside? Or can you create a pyramid or not? So there are many ways of working over it with different features. Micro holes right now for fibers, for fiber cable nozzles, then for fiber cables, sorry for the typo error, micro nozzles for jet engines, that are today being fabricated still by micro EDM. Attempt can be made on EDM also, but they are largely made by micro EDM. People have started getting metal additive into it, but still the market usually is captured by micro EDM. And then the issue that comes over here is the measurement. All the measuring instruments that we have, they are imported. So DST has come up with an instrumentation type of scheme also, wherein it is encouraged to develop instruments for measurements indigenously. So there is a scope of indigenous development of instrumentation also for the micro features or the nano features. So these are different opportunities that we have. The work that I showed is the work being carried out by my research scholars Vishal, Piyush, Mukul, and Chintan. So I acknowledge their work and acknowledge their support when they carried out this work. These are few of the references which I have referred, and with this I come to the end of my discussion. Thank you very much. Now I am open for any sort of questions.